I will be responding to Nicole on Amy's set one with the question of providing examples of the exchange of women other than marriage. Nicole gave some pretty good examples, such as wedding, giving a daughter away, and they typically take the last name of their husband, even though now it's kind of common to hyphenate. And Mexico, I know my grandma always talks about how um, you end up keeping your mother's name and getting your father's last name, and then when you get married, you keep your last name and you get your spouse's last name. So it kind of just shows the heritage growing there, but it is common to just overall get a new last name. Um, and Nicole also mentioned mail order brides. A woman is purchased for her hand in marriage, and they're typically foreign women, um, who are, I guess, sold, but also they know where they're going type of stuff. So I'm not entirely familiar with it. But some other examples I have were forced marriages, which differ from arranged marriages in the sense that the two individuals are accepting of assistance in their parents or a third party, helping them decide on their spouse. So for arranged marriage, you're accepting that help, but forced marriage, you're not. You're basically against your will going into this. And a lot of people will let their parents help in order to honor them. So another is human trafficking, where women are taken and held hostage and sold for money, which is a little bit more complicated than mail order brides. At the same time, that's kind of just a darker subject in it's in its whole, but it's also something to consider because women are taken and classified as objects. They aren't people in that sense. They're money or objects for sex. They're not souls. And once the men or the women in this thing see them as that, no one's really safe. So the exchange of women is a social contract from which women are excluded. So resulting in a contract between men. So it's a contract where, you know, it leaves women as less than the man and makes their value and their, I don't know, I guess they're, you don't really have to acknowledge them, and it's really typically between men. So therefore, Wittig, argues for the necessity for everyone to exist as individuals, and that no real transformations can occur without that. So, she, articulates that you can't just see a man and a woman, and she goes on to explain the rights of, you know, lesbians and homosexual men in that regard as well. So this belief led her to assert that lesbians are a concept beyond the categories of a woman and man, because a lesbian is not a woman by economic, political, or ideological standards. So, if we're gonna say this is a man and this is a woman, and we're gonna move forward and identify them as both, as people, a lesbian can't really fit in that category. So, just some of the ways that the exchange of women is important until you can't really define them, and I think that's an interesting concept.